Hey, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. This is Naaman, the DC Camp, Branch Great Millstone, back for another video. First and foremost, call halal Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakal Kadash. And of course, once again, double honors go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who were well. Salutations also go out to the fellow Akim that are out there on the highways and byways, not to mention many videos that are put up and therefore go out over the airways to further push the truth out for across the four corners. All right. Let me go ahead and get this disclaimer out of the way. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use. All right. For purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Fair use, fair use. All right. And I'm going to take us to Mr. Black here. That's Tim Black. And his podcast, and something that, once again, we've always tried to tell Jake, but, you know, it's always nice to find people out there in the secular world and trying to tell you the same thing. All right, so here we go. Let's see. Push it back a little bit. There we go. All right, here we go.
The Democrats have let you go. Black Americans, you can continue to be, particularly my boomers and my late associate of draw. You can continue to be in love with her, but she done moved on, man. She got man, she done what you buy. See,
Check the volume here.
she changed the locks. Now you want to sit outside? You want to be a stalker? That's what you want to do? Or you want to move on?
The Black Truth Report. The Black Truth Report. The Black Truth Report.
People that are broke in New York are concerned about New York. No?
Not Israel.
So, the coalition there, and it's not black people. They voted largely for Cuomo and nationwide. There is no group of people in America who are owed more than black people and have gotten less. There's not one group. We've spent the last few years talking about Latinos as a voting bloc and an economic bloc.
Yeah.
We now talk only about immigrants coming from other countries. We speak about Jews and Muslims, frankly, more than American-born black people.
Yeah.
They know that conversation has moved on from them. Mamdani is talking about immigrants more than black people.
Yeah.
They know that. They're not stupid. They're well aware that the Democratic Party's get it.
Uh-huh.
They get it.
Yeah, some of
They're
them.
going, yeah, we pick up what you're putting down. So I think Cuomo to them has name recognition and they're, you know. This is going in the direction that doesn't include them. The Democrats are building a coalition that doesn't include black people. They know it.
Yeah.
They're well aware of it. It's coastal, educated, college educated. I'm not saying smart, educated white people and illegal immigrants. That's all. That's their coalition. It's not the worst coalition. There's nothing wrong with that, but it does include black people. It's people in the GLBTQ, IA2
Yeah, that's who they're
world.
and we have been their primary base. That's why we always try to tell you, you can't in this political system, because both parties have been historically against us, one way or another. And they did a little switcheroo, what was it, back in the 30s or 40s, with the Dixiecrats and all that shit. I'm trying to find this guy. Hold on here. That I think he's making reference to, because here comes this guy out of nowhere. Alright, here it is. Zohan. I misspelled it. But this guy, alright, out of nowhere. And guess where this guy grew up? Alright, this is Elon. Got Letitia James there. See, all these people have sold us out. Alright. Alright. Let me see if I can find an article that'll give us a little background, because he grew up both in Uganda, and we know that history, if you knew anything about Idi Amin, before they ran him out of Uganda, he got rid of a lot of the so-called East Indians, the Elamites. Alright, let's see. What to know is poised to become a 33-year-old, real young. Who does this remind you of? These people that the Democrats are trying to win over the hearts and minds of Jake, and they're getting, again, nothing for it. Nothing substantive. And you have to realize, since that's a big push, we don't want a fucking, what the fuck is a holiday? No. We're still lasting everything, alright? It's glazed over in shock to Democratic politics. So you really believe he just snuck in there unannounced? Well, to the general public anyway, but my point being, you really think the establishment isn't aware of this guy? That they didn't set him up? They see that the other Elamite, talking about Harris, cosplay Harris, didn't win. Alright. So now they bring in this guy, this smooth talking, and they show him. I couldn't pull it up. I didn't think of it until now. I always do this shit, but where he's making speeches to Jake, and the references to Martin Luther King, and some Bible verses, and that's all you need. And see, they've learned how to run this game on Jake. Alright, and something weird happened this last cycle. Alright, and it's like the last few months up until the presidential election, things didn't go according to their plan. Let's continue on here, and I'll come back to this. But this guy is telling you, alright, words out of his own mouth, that we're the ones getting screwed over the most. We get the least, and they bring everybody over here and hook them up. You saw that? There's a big thing that, with this last administration, with their push to bring all these illegals over here. See, immigration in and of itself, if it's the big, huge, not a slap in the face, a kick in the face to our people, and it was done on purpose. And I want you to hear something about, this is from back in the mid-90s. This is Dr. Claude Anderson. I make reference to him a few times, on point, over 30 years ago. All right, and his Powernomics speech here, I believe it was in Los Angeles at the late Fred Price's church, I do believe. All right, here we go. Remember, this is 95, I believe, 95.
Have an unending influx of immigrants into the country. And that's what Dr. Price is talking about. And nobody, no black politician, no black organization wants to deal with that issue.
What?
They will avoid it at all costs, even during their heart.
Isn't that what you saw the last couple of years? No one wanted to touch it. Why? They just ask, what's this asshole preacher's name that's been in the news lately? Is it Bryant? Yeah, he was with a delegate, and I think it was an Edomite reporter, I think. And he asked those that were gathered together, that were, represented the Democrats, and he said, "Why are you for immigration? Help destroy young people." I'm paraphrasing. He said, "Why would you? Why would you all be with that? They're going to steal jobs from you." And some thing in the background said, "Well, they're deserving. They're illegals." And see, everybody loses that fact. And what the thing is, it's being done on purpose. These, was it the Red Cross that they caught down there in not Central America? Oh, what's that? It's a gap. It's in Panama. Damn it, I forgot. In South America, where they say everything started, they were down there handing out maps and whatever else to help these people go from all the way down like Colombia, walking across and on up through Central America. And I'm like, well, you know the reason why. But see, this is still still living in, what they think is, there's contempt. They have no idea what's about to happen. But again, we're out here doing what we're doing. Keep bringing it up. Ezekiel 2 and 3. We're doing what we were commanded to do. Alright, so it's not like you feel sorry because you had all this time. And this is how Yahweh Shem Yahushua works. You have no out because you've been forewarned so many times. Alright? With this. Again, this is Dr. Claude Anderson. This is like 30 years ago or better.
They know that's one of the biggest problems for black folks. We anticipate in the next 10 to 12 years approximately 8 to 6 million Hispanics coming into the United States and 41 million Asians. You have been the majority 400 years in this country. You have been the number 2 population for 400 years. You're going to get kicked out of being number 2. You're going to go down and become number 4.
Mm-hmm.
Now, common sense, even a third grade education would tell you, if you didn't get anything when you were number 2, you all jumped ahead of me, but anyway, you can guess what you're going to get when you become number 4. And the worst part about it is as you descend and go down to number 4, those other groups are going to go up. Go past you, you're going to have major racial clashes in this country. You're going to have fights all over this country between blacks and Hispanics, blacks and Asians, blacks and poor whites. And black folk cannot fight all these groups. Everybody can not always be against black folk.
And that's the thing. Have you noticed the nasty, hateful video other nations are making because they're getting kicked out, and it's like, well, what the fuck did we do? It came out that a lot of the Northern Kingdom were under the impression that we were immigrants. How about that? And now you have people like Somalians making video I just saw. And you can just feel the hatred. It's like, well, damn. But again, this is prophecy. All right, these are the curses also. But let's get back to what Dylan is saying here.
It's educated white people and it's immigrants. That's primarily the Democratic coalition. That's all they're talking about ever.
Yep.
They talk about low-income people, but it's like, But it's
again, who benefited while we were out there getting our asses beat during the civil rights era, getting killed, all the lynchings. But who benefited from what we suffered for? He just named it. You got the so-called the Edomite woman, the so-called white woman, and the LGBTQ and whatever other so-called minorities, they will put at the forefront. Alright, so for anyone that comes out of their mouth talking about you can actually make it to a certain extent, alright, but you gotta come back down to reality. Alright, you give thanks for what you have, alright, because you have to understand during that same civil rights era, we fell for the okie doke, meaning all the business, whole strategy was to get Jake to integrate with what you had. You gave up those businesses, you gave up ownership of whatever you had, and they've since made sure that you would never get that back, because that was your, Jake didn't realize it then, but you know, think about it, put it this way, to get jobs that work for people that absolutely despise us, wouldn't it have been more, when you think about it, would it have been more beneficial to have your own businesses where you could hire your own? So it's like, you see now, we were sold out. Don't think that those organizations like the NAACP, which we all know the small hats run that, and in years to follow, the CBC, the Congressional Black Caucus, I call them the Congressional Black Talkers because they seem to be for everyone else except for us. And again, this is all strategy on our enemy's part. Alright? They know who we are, but they don't want to listen. So therefore, I mean, you can't be concerned about people like that. You know, it's, we do as instructed. We plant that seed. It's up to Yahweh Hashem Yahushua to further water it and for it to grow, if it does so. Alright, let's go back to the video.
Really, the cultural energies behind immigration. And Zoran's like, we're going to Trump-proof New York because he might cut our federal funding. And listen, I'm an opponent of those barbaric ICE raids. I think they're fucked up. But I do think criminals need to be deported. And I also think criminals will have wives and kids. So a guy that's wanted for attempted murder, whenever goes, oh, that woman's pregnant, they went to her house. It's like, a pregnant person and people that have been violent have also procreated. And then, you know? So it's just going to be a situation where it's like, but he's a father. It's like, yeah, okay. You know who's a father? Putin. Putin's a father.
Yeah, I love this, man, because this is something I've been saying. I've been saying it for a couple years now. You know, whenever I'm up at night Googling, when I put in Tim, there's a couple Tims that come up. Of course, Tim Black, but Tim Dillon and Tim Pool. So, Tim Dillon I find a lot more interesting than Tim Pool. That being said, spot on here. Maybe Tim Dillon was Googling his name and came across Tim Black. And he realized, hey, some black people do know what's going on. They do realize they're being replaced. They do realize that they're being outpaced of the primary beneficiary of things. And it's smart. He said smart black people get it. Black people are smart. Well, not all of us. Some of them still follow Al Sharpton. And now Jamal Bryant.
That's him, Jamal Bryant. Okay.
A road leading nowhere except to the... Some of them don't get it. The Democratic Party, as Tim points out, they're called...
And for that, let's get the scripture. Because this is exactly what they do. The Al Sharptons, Jamal Bryants, what's that other guy? He's practically an invalid now. Oh, Jesse Jackson. Wait, man, might have to start at 4. Hold on. Nah. Well, I'll start at 4. But who's the flock of the slaughter? All right, it's us. This is Zechariah 11:4. Thus saith the Most High Yahweh, my God, feed the flock of the slaughter. All right, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. There's just been some other murder. Jake was up in upstate New York, was found hanging from a tree. They were quick to call it suicide. Those brothers, those twins down in Georgia, suicide. You know. There was another one where this ex-Marine just shot this kid. I was just looking at that. I don't think I can bring it up. Hold on. Who? In fact, let me show that to you. Let's see. Because this guy I'm fixing to bring up is two sites. Let's try, as soon as it catches up with me here. Let's try introvert. Rockstar. All right. Yeah. Here it goes with the, he just was indicted. Here's another one. Jabari Peoples was just murdered by Alabama police. They finally caught the guy who wanted to escape from jail. It's not the one I was talking about. Let's see. Another Louisiana plantation, just gonna see. That's not it. Hold on. Let's go to the other one. Let's see. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah, this was wild. This is a few years ago. She went in the police station, shot up, and she's still alive. That's a good. I mean, they went out of their way. You got to look at that. They went out of their way to. I mean, look at it right there in front of you where the. Let's see, crooked Chicago police officer exposes. Former was his corruption. Here it is. They were unarmed. 55-year-old monster shoots 2 teens in the back and neck at a public pool in Chicago. All right, that's the one. All right. 70-year-old woman killed in Baltimore. Police kill another mentally ill man. All right. That he did, where it shows this one officer that slammed a woman's head on a car, and he got justice a few weeks later. All right, let's go back to here.
Coalition, does that include black people? We are an afterthought.
Yep.
LGBTQ, college educated.
That's who they're catering to now.
And illegal immigrants. And then he went on later to say just immigrants. That's the coalition. That's why Trump sees it and says, hey, this can't last. I'm not even going to say that Trump did. I'm not even going to say Trump's focus on immigration has to do with.
Yeah, what was his true motive?
As much as saving jobs, avoiding Democrats being able to pad elections. But there could be multiple reasons, right? And you know what I'm saying? Could be multiple reasons why you do a thing. You can exercise every day to look good and to be healthy. Doesn't have to be one thing. And it can be both things. And it also could be to get out the house. Tim Dillon's right. So was Tim Black. And what's bad are the number of black Americans who can't seem to get this point through their heads. They don't understand it. They don't want to let go of the past. The Democrats have let you go. You can continue to be. Black Americans, you can continue to be. Particularly my boomers and my late Gen Xers that are slow to the draw. You can continue to be in love with her. But she done moved on, man. She got a new man. She done what you buy.
Yep.
See? She changed a lot. Or you want to get in when you fit in. Man, the choice is yours. You can get with this, or you can get with that. You can get with this, or you can get with that. I say you get with this because this is where it's at. Check the archives. I've been talking about this. It's part of the urge of the Democratic Party because they have gotten out of you. I don't know if we made it clear enough for you. They already left you. You're still in an emotional relationship with a party that's no longer focused on you. I told you.
It never was, though.
In 1970, the average black family, 1950, give me 20 more years. In 1950, of black Americans own their own homes. In 2020, last time we did the survey, 40% of black Americans own their own homes. We ain't moved an inch. Voted for the Democrats. Meanwhile, the Hispanics have started coming to the country during that time period, and guess what? They're at 50% home ownership. You heard Tim say it, Tim Dillon say it, you heard the other Tim say it, you heard me say it, it's been said, you can Google it, it's what it is. Now, I don't know how you keep score, but houses would be a good way to keep score. Not who got to host the Grammys the most, not who has more Tyler Perry movies, not who was the Final Five or the Final Four, whatever challenge. Now, who got the best TikTok dance? These things don't matter.
Exactly.
We gotta get solutions. Part of the solutions is waking up to the fact you have no party. Therefore,
You have nothing. And that's why we bring out scriptures like Isaiah 51 and 14 about the captive exile, which we are. All right? Fuck this place. And that's why we're trying to get you to say, hey, you got to come back to Yahweh Shah. That's the purpose here. You know, this place, America, this world, as a matter of fact, this is not our rest. We have nothing here. And that's when you, hold on, let me get it. Hebrews 11. Because you're like, yeah, ever since we were cast out, you know, you reminisce, you know, wow, obeyed, wow. We started 14. For they that say, hold on. It's talking about your Hall of Famers here as far as faith goes. You know, Moses, Abraham, Sarah, you know, etc. And it says, these all died in faith, not having received the promise, but having seen them afar off, and were persuaded of them. All right, again, faith and hope. And earlier up in this chapter, it talks about, you know, faith. This is the faith chapter. All right, and it says, and were persuaded of them, and embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth, which we are. Here's my point. For they that say such things declare plainly that they seek a country. 15. And truly, if they had been mindful of that country from whence they came out, the land of puppet, opportunity to have returned. But now they desire a better country, that is, an heavenly. Wherefore the Most High is not ashamed to be called their God, for he hath prepared for them a city. That's the mindset that we should be in. Fuck this place. It's nothing here for Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked. That's who's ruling over us. They never intended for us to have any kind of power. All right, to be able to set up, establish roots somewhere, because they know who we are, and they have to keep us on the move. All right, so we can't establish ourselves. The highways purposely cut through so-called black neighborhoods. Why do you think that was? All the towns that were made into lakes, everything that was burned down and destroyed. Why? Think about that.
You had to act independently and form a new bloc that votes its best interest. It's not that our votes don't matter. It's not that our money doesn't matter. It's not that it's they feel like, why focus on you? We got you in our pocket.
Yeah.
That's the lesson. They'll still take your advocacy. They'll take Jasmine Crockett being a crash test dummy. They'll take Letitia out of herself. They'll take all of the black women crashing and burning for the Democrats
Yep.
while giving them nothing for it.
It's their entertainment.
And they'll take black votes. They'll take black support. And they'll take you riding and dying on social, acting a fool. Meanwhile, the numbers show when it comes to policies, who's winning with those policies. Those policies have greatly more impacted white women, LGBTQ.
There you go.
And illegal immigrants.
More about the political stuff is what's behind it. So you have these people that are all like, they went to school, they were told they were very special people and talented, and they got into the right schools, they got the right degrees, and now they're like paying $29 for a sandwich in New York City, and they're pissed. They gotta take shit from some boss. And New York makes you envious like no place. And by the way, I'm not talking about the people who genuinely need help in the city, give a shit about, whose lives, a lot of them are fully responsible for the degradation of African American communities.
There you go.
Um,
You're liberal.
and do deserve a lot more than the government. I'm not talking about those people. And I'm not talking about the people that suffer under a healthcare system. I'm talking about now people that are envious, as I am. I'm an envious. We all envy. And the people that don't admit it are liars. I envy people. I do my podcast in a building with a lot of finance people. And I understand, and they make more money than me. Why would that be the case? Because we live in a sick society. But that envy, the richest people in the world live here. The richest, wealthiest people, and I don't mean only in America, all over the world, live here. People talk shit to you here and down to you in accents from all over the globe. You get insulted here in different languages because it's a global city.
Look, guys, the secret is out, and people are aware of it. I want to thank Tim Dillon for putting out this content, man. It's good to hear somebody saying the truth. Yeah, black Americans are the other group of people that did a moral obligation. America has a moral obligation to black Americans more than any other group in America. And what people did was they used
And that's why you're going to see a push, I believe, where they start tweaking around with this 14th Amendment thing. Who knows? Keep to myself. But yeah, when you think about the 13th Amendment and how that language could have been changed so long ago, and it never was, about slavery unless you're convicted of a crime, and how many were unjustly, all right, thrown to the wolves as far as prison, all right, so they can make profit. Think about that. That's all we've ever been here. They find some way to profit off of us, and at our expense. They make money hand over fist. All right.
Use that as collateral to help themselves instead of help black people. You've been sold out by black people. Look, any
Yep.
person from one of the things you'll notice if you take time, do this, man. When you got a couple hours to spare, go look at Africa. Look at the complaints of Africans about Africa. You will see there is a long-standing history of Africans
Yep.
selling other Africans out. These are very rich companies. I'm sorry, very rich countries in Africa.
And that's the thing. That's why they are so fucking pissed at Ibrahim Traore in Burkina Faso. And there are others following suit. The new president of Namibia, the woman there, she just Americans because their visas, and that was something someone else brought up about, America, especially this latest, since Trump got in for his second term, he's, going on this tear about getting illegals out of here, and rightfully so. But what a lot of other countries are doing with Americans, or probably some other European countries, they're saying, oh no, fuck that, you want to feel this way? And I'm surprised it took them this long, all right, to respond like they're doing now. But they're fed up with Esau's shit. All right, this man is falling. Everybody's, well, I'm not saying everybody, but enough people are seeing that this place is finished. I mean, this whole system, all right, particularly here in America, and Americans have been so spoiled, it's going to be hit harder here, I do believe, because a lot of people here aren't used to roughing it, so to speak. All right, back to see what Little Bo, we got to finish this out.
Because selling out the citizens in those countries, and meanwhile keeping the money for themselves. And then look at Latin. There are rich places all over the globe where people do that. That's the same thing that happened to black Americans in the U.S. Same exact thing. The minerals and the riches that black Americans have is the legacy of pain and suffering, what was done to black Americans, which gives us a moral authority, which gives us the soul, which from there came all forms of music, great inventions, a history,
which they continue to try to hide, right? Because controlling the narrative, there has to be a so-called white face on everything, because they have to prove how great they are. They're thieves and murderers, and whatever else have you, sexual deviants. That's the truth. All right, and it's coming out again. Prophecy. All right, that's one reason. The benefit of us being out there, because we're tearing down those strongholds, of which been a bunch of fucking lies that were taught to all of us, especially my generation and earlier, all right, concerning history, or his story, to be more precise. All right, and all that's being unraveled now. They can't stand it. Hence, critical race theory.
That's different than anyone else on the planet. Alright, so we have that, right? What happened was, in the 60s, the late 60s into the 70s, people like Al Sharpton have taken it and commodified it and turned it into a commodity to sell for themselves. And say, well, you know what, we're going to let you. What Jim Clyburn did was, he commodified pain and suffering of the civil rights era and handed it like a gift to Biden, as long as it fitted him and his chosen people that he had in place.
Let's go back to Zechariah. I don't believe I finished it. All right. 11 and 5. All right. Slay them and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, Blessed be the Most High Yahweh, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. Their own shepherds pity them not. Just what he just told you here, they sold us out. They're in it for them. How else did captivating about Al Sharpton that he, come on, man.
And that's what Biden did. And then Biden took that entree to the black community and used that to go to the presidency. Clyburn's not the first person to do it. Al Sharpton does it too. Why do you think Al Sharpton's on MSNBC? It's Al Sharpton's a commentator. He has important things to say because he's such a dynamic interviewer. No, he's not. None of the above is true. It's because he has that moral authority being dripped, laced with the civil rights movement that he's laid claim to. And then we have black people that think, hey, Al Sharpton, he fought for us. Remember that time he went marching? Every time somebody black get killed, here he is. He rides for us. He's taking that moral authority that white Americans just don't have, because by and large, so many people in their group have been benefiting from pain and suffering of others. They just don't have it. The only thing black America has, the only thing that black America has, certain people in certain black Americans.
And that becomes even more pronounced when you find out that who you really are. And there's a reason for that. Alright? And it tells us that that's why we were supposed to be an example. Talking about moral authority. Well, when you go into Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter, what does it tell us? Moses commands obedience, but when you come down here to around 4 and 5, alright, he tells you, Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Most High Yahweh my God commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it, keeping your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, Surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great, who hath God so nigh unto them, as the Most High Yahweh our God is in all things that are? And what nation is there so great that hath statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law which I set before you this day? Only take heed to thyself, and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen, and lest they depart from thy heart all the days of thy life. But teach them sons and thy sons' sons, generational, generation to generation to generation. But what did we do? Let's go on to 28. First part, 14 verses, tells us, oh, we would be so blessed that we would to obey the law, statutes, commandments, which I just read to you in Deuteronomy 4. We were supposed to be the example to the nations. But there is a warning, and that's in 15. It says, curses with disobedience. And guess what we did? But it shall come darken unto the voice of the Most High Yahweh thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I commanded this day, that all these curses have come upon thee and overtake thee. Oh my goodness. 16 to 68 is the Murphy's Law of the Israelites. What can go wrong will go wrong. This is why we're in the state that we're in, people. I encourage you to read them to yourself. Alright. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. We can't escape it. Alright, do a little bit more.
Use it to sell us out while they enrich themselves. There is no reason why Black Americans have not moved 10-20% in home ownership. There's no reason at all.
Speaking of which,
You can walk around in life believing that these things are done by accident and nothing's controlling anything.
and I just read to you why it's not an accident. Excuse
This
me.
is just the way the cookie crumbles.
But
Or you
I'm
can be
trying
a
to wait
thinking
for this
person.
to reset. Hold on. Kind of messed
They
up.
can realize that if this had happened, oh,
This guy right here, again, back to him. He wrote a book. In fact, two.
Have an unending influx
Well,
of
more than
immigrants.
two, but two that I have. I think I have three of his. I think I still have Black Labor, White Wealth, and Dirty Little Secrets of Hope. All right.
And that's what Dr. Clark.
All right. Let's see here. All right, had to reset the camera there, Salaki, but yeah, Dr. Claude Anderson here. Here's first one. Get it in there. Hold on. There we go. All right. Dirty Little Secret about Black history, its heroes and other troublemakers. And this is the second book, that same title, right, where he and his son collaborate. All right. Lots of information in there. He's the one that. But it's, warning after warning after warning. And, Jake has just been so comfortable here in their prison. Something that Jake, I don't know if you'd call it a superpower or whatever, an act for adapting to our bad circumstances. And you have people that have seen that and take advantage of it.
intentional. Things that happen do not just happen out of the blue. print our own money.
Nope, not going to work. Already, well, we didn't try that, but I mean, it's not going to work. People fail to realize that, again, we have no real power here. All right. Somehow, some way, they'll figure out how to fuck that up for us.
There's a scene from yeah, I think it's The Departed. And I forget exactly what happened in the scene. But Jack Nicholson plays this horrible character. There's two scenes. One of the scenes was, but I think I'm gonna get the point. One of the scenes was Jack Nicholson said, and it's a voiceover. He said, if I had any complaints about the blacks, it'll be this. No one gives it to you. You gotta take it.
And on that, I'm going to answer that, and he's coming at it from a carnal perspective. We're not to do that. All right, the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. Again, as soon as this catches up with me, this is why Yahweh Shah said this. All right. All right. Let's go to John 18 and 36. He was corresponding with Pilate, Pontius Pilate. Pilate answered, am I a Jew? Thine own nation and the chief priests have delivered thee unto me. What hast thou done? Yahushua answered, my kingdom is not of this world. My kingdom were of this world, then would my servants fight, that I should not be delivered to the Jews. But now is my kingdom not from hence. And again, this is not Esau's kid. This was given to him. Like I said, Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. The wicked. Alright? That nation was set up to be the wicked. That's who's ruling. And until, as the scriptures say, the times comes to an end, alright, he gave him that power to do what he's doing, he's going to have to take it away. Alright, we our time is not yet. Alright, it's approaching it, but it's not yet. So none of this about and anybody else on this economic push, for lack of a better way to describe it, it's not going to work. Alright, so with that, I'm going to end it here. It went up on me here, so I guess that's the best time as any to cut it short. There's only a few minutes left in this. But again, this has been from the Tim Black TV with Tim Dillon. Alright. Weighing in here. So once again, I hope whoever views this is edified. That's what we do here at Great Millstone. And I'd like to encourage you to, hey, fasting and prayer, it works. And furthermore, continue to be circumspect, especially now in the time that we're in. So with that, until the next